The Mystara project is proud to present part 28 of the Law of Mystara series. In this video we take a look at the period from BC 99 to BC 1. Sometime between BC 99 and BC 50, the Tharman family came to power in the Mamlakat of Shahjarkhand. It is notable that this was during the reign of the Chambaharas, so perhaps the Tharmans were shapeshifters. The family were certainly tiger enthusiasts. King Bolo I of Dengar was born sometime between BC 248 and BC 168, to a Torcrest father and an Evrast mother. He became king sometime between BC 188 and BC 118. He excessively raised taxes and abused his subjects during his reign, to such a degree that he is regarded as Dengar's most infamous despot. In BC 98, he was overthrown by a rebellion. The rebels set up a senate to guard against despotic monarchs. The senate was comprised of one representative for each extended dwarven family with at least 1,000 members. The rebels installed Evrast VII as their puppet king. Evrast VII was born sometime between BC 248 and BC 148. Sometime between BC 92 and BC 22, Alphatian discovered and conquered the islands of Nuar, Tuar, Puir, Dwarir and Kuir, to control the pearl trade. Alphatian named the archipelago, and created the Kingdom of the Pearl Islands. Around BC 91, a pair of sphinxes near Tel al-Kebir Oasis magically scried the Altan Tepe Gnome's Blackmorian jet drive unit device. As collectors of black memorabilia, the pair traveled to the hidden valley to investigate. They were intrigued by the knowledge of the Norgpars, who convinced them to assist with the Sky City project. The Sphinxes offered magic and advice on how to properly use Blackmorian devices. By BC 82, gnomish prototype flying machine crash rates had reduced by 72% after taking the Sphinx's advice. Sometime between BC 77 and BC 37, the last pure Abelat, Eeltik, died. His half-human daughter became the second of the keepers. Sometime between BC 72 and BC 32, Zendrolian Tatriokanitas was born in the protectorate of Thyatis, possibly in Karenda's city. By BC 50, barbarian tribes like the Thracians, Manakapuru, Simbasta, Pardasta and Masongo overran the Milenian Empire. The walled capital city of Mylenia fell. All that remained were the sacked and burned ruins of its many cities, interspersed with a few communities struggling to maintain the Milenian civilization in the face of hordes of plundering barbarians. With the collapse of their Milenian allies, the Karakasta Rakasta come under extreme pressure from Simbasta, Pardasta and Masongo Rakasta tribes. They live on as a marginal group in what would later be known as the Garganan grasslands, hated and stalked by their greater cousins, for using cowardly missile weapons and allying with humans. Sometime between BC 50 and BC 17, the immortal Terastia either created an avatar called Valentia, who is either born as half-sister to Licinius Trenzantenbium of Karendas, or took over her identity at a later date. The common Alphatian, Rettibius, is born on the Isle of Dawn. Sometime between BC 42 and BC 5, Alphatian appoints Zendrolian Tatriokanitas as general of Karendas. Sometime between BC 40 and BC 27, Licinius Trenzantenbium was born in the protectorate of Thyatis, possibly in Karenda's city. Sometime between BC 40 and AC 500, the kobold, Skolda, was born, probably in the southeastern Altan Tepe Mountains, or their foothills. Sometime between BC 35 and BC 24, Alphas, later to be known as Alphas VI, was born in Alphatian. Sometime between BC 34 and BC 1, Zendrolian Tatriokanitas married Valentia in Karendas. Sometime between BC 30 and BC 11, Rettibius found a young white dragon. He trained it to act as his mount and fight for him in battle. Sometime between BC 26 and BC 10, Alphatian wizards taught magic to a very clever Thyacian boy, Licinius Trenzantenbium, in Karenda's city. Sometime between BC 15 and BC 5, Alphatian appointed the very clever local wizard, Licinius Trenzantenbium, as governor of Karendas. Licinius began collaborating with his friend and brother-in-law, General Zendrolian Tatriokanitas of Karendas, to create a Thyacian spy network, and to develop an elaborate plan for Thyacian independence. They noted many Alphatian weaknesses. like widespread Zonga addiction, a deterioration in the quality of appointed Grand Council members due to corruption, and discontent among Alphatian subject states due to increased taxation imposed by Emperor Kerethar IV to fund the upcoming Alphatian Millennium celebrations to be the biggest, costliest and most magnificent event in human history. In BC 14, the shell of the gnomish flying city was completed, measuring nearly half a mile long and almost 1,500 feet wide. The jets were installed, but delicate levitation tests showed serious gaps between theory and application. A series of twiddles and tweaks did nothing to solve the difficulties. Around BC 2, the skilled red dragon sorcerer, and member of the Parliament of Dragons, Cardia, went mad and became a renegade. He discovered the ruined underground Blackmoor city of Darmuk in the Makres Mountains of eastern Dengar, and used it as his lair. He subdued 26 young rogue and renegade dragons one at a time, binding them to his will, so that they recognized him as a dragon king. He also marshaled a small orc and goblin army, which he used to raid the surrounding area for treasure. Namely, west into Dengar, south into the Alphatian lands around Duran, and east into the northern reaches. By BC 2, the Alphatian Empire had grown weaker, through Zonga addiction, and admitting magic users less than 36th level to the Imperial Council, if they were wealthy. Early in BC 2, Governor Licinius Trenzantenbium of Corenders had reached 36th level as a magic user, trained by the Alphatians. He and General Zendrolian Tatriocanitas of Corenders used their extensive spy network to arrange simultaneous assassinations of the most powerful Alphatian wizards in the Protectorate of Thyatis. Trenzantenbium then publicly declared to the surviving Alphatian wizards of Corenders that Alphatian rule had ended, and he was now king of Thyatis. King Trenzantenbium then duelled the most powerful Alphatian wizard to death. His victory was made easier due to his opponent being inhibited by Zonga addiction. The shocked surviving Alphatian wizards were permitted to return to Alphatia, where they promptly informed Emperor Kerethar IV of the situation. Thyatis then sent diplomats and bards to the Alphatian subject territories of the Isle of Dawn, Pearl Islands and Ocalia, with news, rumors, and songs of the successful revolt. The news was well received by these subject nations, who were suffering from heavy taxation to fund Alphatia's upcoming millennium celebrations. War broke out between Alphatia and Thyatis. The Alphatian navy was initially defeated by the crack Thyacian navy, and defecting Thyacians of the Alphatian navy who unexpectedly attacked in the rear. The second Alphatian naval assault included their wizards, reversing the earlier result, which paved the way for troops to land on mainland Thyacia. Thyatis called upon the Corendan cavalry, Hattian footmen, Vialia elves, dwarven mercenaries from Dengar, and special units of high-level clerics, to fight the Alphatians. One cleric, Rhetobius, a common Alphatian from the Isle of Dawn, fought for the Thyacians. He and his white dragon mount surprised the Alphatian sky navy, and ruined many Alphatian skyships early in the war. The dragon was eventually killed by the Alphatians, but Rhetobius survived. The Thyacians fought a holding pattern, avoiding full-scale battles, and moving their forces around to delay and baffle the Alphatians, as they struggled to locate their enemy. King Trenzantenbium used his knowledge of Alphatian wizards to pick them off, one by one, through his assassins. Sometime between BC 2 and BC 0, the Alphatian subject states began to revolt, depriving the Alphatians of some of their best army and navy units, and forcing them to fight on multiple fronts. Ocalian clerical magic assisted the rebellion. King Trenzantenbium spread a rumor that he had a poison that could assassinate any Alphatian noble, but Zonga was a sure antidote. Paranoid Alphatian commanders began taking Zonga, which greatly hampered their military's effectiveness. This concludes part 28 of the Law of Mystara series, covering the period BC 99 to BC 1. Almost a century of rebellions, starting against the despotic king of Dengar, then the mid-century utter collapse of the Milenian Empire to the barbarian tribes it once scorned, and finally culminating in the rebellion of Alphatia's subject states, led by Thyatis.